My name is Andrew Hammel. I am a lecturer in common law at the University of Duesseldorf in Germany. People are obsessed by Obama here. There's an enormous amount of news coverage, which always strikes me as a little bit odd because, frankly, there seems to be more news coverage of Obama than there is about many political debates in Germany. So I'm always interested by how incredibly interested Germans are in the American political landscape. Sometimes it seems a little bit overdone to me, but still, because I get questions everywhere I go. So I think the idea is that people are finally seeing in Obama somebody who is intelligent enough to be president, or someone who they consider to be sort of intelligent and worldly enough to be a proper U.S. president. And Germans are desperate for that, as are lots of other Europeans, because obviously they're extremely disaffected with George W. Bush, and they're also interested in Obama's personal history. The fact that, he was brought up in a single-parent household and has an international background, and that he has this sort of outsider charm, and that he's been able to build up a sort of grassroots political organization, which is something doesn't really happen on the German political landscape that much.
Do you think the Germans understand the policy differences between McCain and Obama?
I'm glad you asked that question, Jörg, because I'm not really sure they do, frankly. It seems to me that there's a lot of coverage that's based on sort of personality and atmospherics, but if you inspect Obama's policy positions, he's a very conventional middle-left American political candidate. He started out being fairly liberal, surprisingly liberal and progressive, but since then he's made a lot of compromises. He has moved toward the center, and that's where he's going to be. You can probably say that he's going to be a president a lot like Bill Clinton if he's elected. And the other thing that I notice about Europeans is they haven't the faintest idea really what John McCain stands for, most of them. John McCain gets no press coverage. He's not sexy. He's not interesting. He is the dog bites man story.
Let's assume Obama's elected president. What would he have to do to get the same enthusiastic response as he did with his speech in Berlin when he comes back here as president?
He'll never get this amount of attention because he's new now, and if he gets elected, he's no longer going to be new. So obviously it's going to drop off, and also he's going to have to start making unpopular decisions when he is president, because he alone cannot determine how to structure his foreign policy, and frankly, some of his own foreign policy initiatives are things that Europeans do not like. The majority of Germans are against sending more troops to Afghanistan, but Obama seems to be completely convinced that that is necessary, and he will put a great deal of pressure on NATO. I think what he can do to preserve some of the popularity and interest is he's much more sophisticated than George Bush is in how one approaches foreign leaders and foreign populations. So he's going to come over to Germany, he's going to make speeches that are interesting, that have some relation to local circumstances and history, and he gives every signal of being diplomatically much more sophisticated. And that always helps with the atmospherics. But I think on substantive issues, there will be some points of conflict that he cannot possibly get rid of, and that will remain.